For those of you who haven't kept up with my gym series, I took the 18 types and split them into 3 groups. I used a random wheel to determine which 6 types I would talk about first, and then in another group, decide the other 6 types. Today's gym is the electric type. This idea certainly sounds kind of boring, but I've done it so many times so far, so one more for the road. I take over a gym. You know Lieutenant Surge? He's out of the picture, so I take over his gym. Similar to how it was in Pokemon Journeys, where Ash visited Vermilion Gym, but instead of challenging Lieutenant Surge, he challenged somebody else. In that situation, Surge was just out for that specific time, but in this specific situation, his gym is completely closed down, and I take over. I keep all the gym trainers the exact same as before, so you'll have to fight Pokemon like Voltorb, Magnemite, and their evolutions. And the other big change, and I'm sure a lot of people will really appreciate this, instead of having to find 2 switches to open up the electrical gate, you only have to find 1. It seems like such a minor change, but considering all the PTSD I'm sure that it gave a lot of people back in the day, I'm sure this change is welcome. But after opening the gate, you reach me. Well, you finally made it to me. You ready to battle? Hope you don't get too shocked. I know, that was a bad pun. Let's start anyway. So the battle begins. The first Pokemon that I send out is Zebstrika. Honestly, a very good Pokemon in its own right. Not a mon I hear a lot of people talk about, especially since it's unique enough that it gets moves like Flame Charge. There are a lot of Pokemon that I like from Unova, and this is definitely one of them. With my Zebstrika's impressive moves with Flame Charge and even Thunderbolt, and as well as using Volt Switch to switch out, it could be a dangerous foe to face. And when Zebstrika does use Volt Switch, he switches into my second Pokemon, Emolga. Another Unova native Pokemon that can also use Volt Switch to switch back into Zebstrika, essentially creating a loop while you're confused at which Pokemon you're facing. As well, Emolga is also part flying type, so you can't run through here with just one simple ground type and hope to win. But through all the times of me Volt Switching through Zebstrika and Emolga, you eventually take out both of them, and that's when I send out my last Pokemon, Revavroom. Revavroom is a newly introduced Pokemon, and even though it's a Steel and Poison type, those typings alone might make it difficult for you to continue this challenge with the Pokemon that you have. As well, Revavroom does get a boost when I Terastallize it into an electric type. I'm sure a lot of people were thinking this is an odd choice, but I just like the idea of Revavroom being an electric type. As well as I'm sure being naturally able to learn moves like Volt Switch anyway, it makes perfect sense. But just like everything else in this gym, you take down my Revavroom, and you win. Well, that's it. Congratulations, you've officially beaten all of the gyms. Or so you thought. Here, some directions. I heard that your last challenge is available here, so I get there as quick as I can if I were you. And there's my last of the gyms. I'm sure you've noticed with the foreshadowing, I'm not entirely done yet, but you'll have to see that later. If you enjoy, hit that like button down below, subscribe if you haven't, and let me know what your electric type gym would be. I'll see you next time. Momentai.